Senate Majority Leader John Thune joins us now. Welcome to you. So what can you tell us about, Mr. Leader, about whether or not we're going to see another shutdown, at least a DHS shutdown, by Valentine's Day?
That's really up to the Democrats, Sandra. They have, one, they negotiated a deal to fund the Department of Homeland Security and then subsequently walked away from it and blew up the package of appropriation bills that we had carefully put together. And as I said, they were a part of that conversation, that discussion, and were supposed to support it. So anyway, then they wanted a separate funding bill for DHS that was a continuing resolution that would allow for some time to negotiate pieces of a bill that might ultimately pass. And then they walked away from that. So a majority of Democrats in the House and the Senate voted against both of those things, both of which they negotiated. So we don't know what it is that they want. We're waiting for a set of demands or a list of the things that they want to include in a DHS funding bill. But the fact of the matter is, the president and his team have done a nice job. Tom Homan has come into Minneapolis. There are some good things happening there, and you've heard him talk about those as recently as this morning. But at the end of the day, we are not going to do things that are going to undermine law enforcement officials' job or ability to do their jobs. Okay,
so Hakeem Jeffries had this to say about you, Mr. Leader. I'll get your response. Listen.
Leader Thune is afraid of his own shadow. This is a guy who said he was not going to break up the 6 appropriations bills. He then broke up the 6 appropriations bills when he was ordered to do so by Donald Trump.
Would you do a year-long CR for DHS?
I'm a hard no on a year-long CR.
Can you? Leader Thune is afraid of his own shadow. To Hakeem Jeffries, you say what?
I think I just said that about him this morning. They're so afraid of the far left base, Sandra, and it wasn't us that broke it up. The Democrats did. We negotiated. We had a 6-bill package. The Democrats were not going to vote for any of this in the Senate unless we split off the DHS bill. That wasn't John Thune. That wasn't the White House. That was the Senate Democrats. And they are so scared of their Democrat base right now that they can't do anything around here. And the Trump derangement syndrome is what's driving, ultimately, animating most of their behavior. But if they actually do want to fund the government, Department of Homeland Security, and we need to, and also, by the way, that bill includes TSA, it includes FEMA, it includes the Coast Guard, a number of agencies that are really important to our government, then they need to sit down with the White House and figure out what it is they actually want. We haven't seen what that is yet.
Fair to say you sound frustrated. This is more. This is coming from Chuck Schumer and Senator Chris Murphy on the SAVE Act. Leader Thune, I'll get your response to this.
Yeah. We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done very quickly. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.
The SAVE Act in and of itself is a terrible piece of legislation. I do think the president is going to put the screws to John Thune and his allies in the Senate because his options to steal the election are going to continue to narrow.
So to the man in the center of all of this, your reaction to what you just heard there?
Right. Well, if Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, and Chris Murphy are bad-mouthing me, I must be doing something right, Sandra. But, you know, honestly, the issue there really is a very simple one, and that is, should non-citizens be voting in American elections? The answer is no. And the Democrats have taken a hard position that it's okay. Now, the law already prevents that, but if that's true, then why wouldn't we want to put into law something that would require, when you go to vote, that you prove you are a United States citizen? And that's all the SAVE Act does. And so, you know, they can cry and lament this actually being voted on, but I'd be hard-pressed to have to defend a position that doesn't believe that you have to be an American citizen to vote in an American election.
I'll finish off with the words of Speaker Mike Johnson defending the SAVE Act. This is from yesterday. Leader Thune, listen.
The SAVE Act just simply says you have to have verification of citizenship to register to vote. That's about a 90-10 issue on many of the polls in this country. And we're going to enhance it by what the president calls the Save America Act. And so it would be proof of citizenship to register to vote and voter ID, which is also about an 80 or 90% issue on the polling nationwide.
Nothing going on Capitol Hill these days. Leader Thune, I'll give you a final thought on all of it.
Well, I honestly, this right now, their political base is demanding they fight with anything that President Trump wants. It is Trump derangement syndrome. It is on steroids around here these days. And even logical, commonsensical things like ensuring that if you're going to vote in an American election, you ought to be an American citizen, they're going to just instinctively oppose. So that's what we're up against. But we're going to do our best in spite of that to make sure that our government is funded and that we're putting policies in place that keep the American people safer and more prosperous.
To be clear, Leader, it does sound like you're saying that what you're describing as Trump derangement syndrome is at the highest you've seen it. So my last question to you is just, do you truly believe that the party, Democrats, would stand for a complete shutdown of DHS?
I think it's going to be very hard to defend, Sandra, because you're talking about it's not just DHS. They want to defund ICE. But, you've also got, as I said, the Coast Guard, FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is with all these disasters and weather-related disasters going on around the country, going to be really important. TSA, anytime you go to an airport, we want to make sure they're funded. So these are all part of that funding bill. And if they want to try and shut down the government over that, I think that's going to be a very hard position for them to defend the American people, because they don't want to see local officials in places like Minneapolis working with law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and local law enforcement to keep our streets safe.
Well, Leader Thune, I know you've always been a big runner, and I don't think you need any exercise. You're running those halls of Congress all day long, it
Thanks,
seems.
Sandra.
All right, great to
Yeah.
have you, Leader Thune. Thank you very much.
Thanks. See ya.
All right.